Welcome to the Slow Wine Guide 2021. I'm here with Marissa Clendenin-Matella of Au Bon Climat Winery. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, so exciting. So we're here to taste three wines today. Marissa's going to take us through the 2018 Santa Barbara Chardonnay and 2018 Santa Barbara County Pinot Noir.
So what is really nice about the Santa Barbara County Pinot Noir and Chardonnay that we are going to be tasting right now is that they are two wines that we produce that you can find in almost every state, which with the Bon Climat at only being around 30,000 cases total production, it's kind of hard to be able to find all of the different wines that we make, because we make a whole bunch. And with the Santa Barbara County Chardonnay 2018, it actually was a really, really great vintage. And every 2018 wine that I'm having right now has just got great balance, great acidity. You know, it has really nice structure. So I'm really excited to see how these wines will be in a few months, and then also how they'll age for age.
So the 2018s are not released yet. What's the release date for those wines?
They are just being released now, actually.
Oh, just being released now. Great.
Yes.
Well, I love the integrated secondary characteristics of the oak here. Can you tell us a little bit about the oak aging regime, particularly for the Chardonnay that I'm tasting right now?
Definitely, definitely. With the Santa Barbara County Chardonnay, we use all neutral oak. But something that we do is once we get the fruit in, we whole cluster press it, and then we let that juice sit in a stainless steel tank overnight. And then the next day, we rack it into barrels. So the wine ferments in barrel, which I think gives it that kind of nice round character without being overly oaky. And the Chardonnay does go through secondary fermentation. So it did go through malolactic.
It goes through malo conversion. Cool. So is it 100% ML?
It is, yeah.
Wow, you would never know that because the wine's so bright and crisp, and there's not a molecule of diacetyl. There's none of that buttery compound that we associate with big buttery wines. It's just got, I get lots of nutmeg and beautiful delicate brown baking spices and a lovely fullness in the mouth as well too. The wine shows so well.
Thank you. Yeah, I love I mean, I love making all wine, really. So it's kind of hard for me to say, oh, I love
And they're
wine.
like favorite children. It's like asking a parent which is your favorite child. Yeah, it's really tough. I know.
You're my favorite today.
Yes, exactly. I always tell my daughter, "You're my favorite daughter," because she's my only daughter. So
Yeah. That's a great answer.
All right. So this Chardonnay is coming from it's vineyard designated Los Alamos on the label here.
Yeah, so you know there is a lot of Los Alamos in that wine. So out of all of the different vineyards that we source from, you know, we allocate certain wines to go for like the Hildegard, which we're going to go through, and then this lot that we get in will go to Santa Barbara County Chardonnay, because we'll get, with the Los Alamos vineyard in particular, we get 5 different picks, and it varies throughout. Sometimes we kind of start in the very beginning of harvest just to see where the numbers are at, and then that'll determine if we start picking right away or if we wait. And then, so yeah, that's with pretty much all of the vineyards that we work with. But there's a lot of Los Alamos vineyard in that one, and then Le Bon Climat too, and Vitivinicola, and then Kick On.
We're not tasting a vineyard designate Vitivinicola wine, but tell us a little bit about the, particularly the vineyard lots at Vitivinicola that you tend to work with, and maybe do you have a favorite?
You know, one of the Chardonnay lots that we work with at Vitivinicola is K Block, and those are some really cool old vines that were planted in the early 70s. And they're like trellis super high up, which I just love it when we're sampling too, because I'm not crouching down. I'm able just to like grab the clusters.
Yeah, they're almost like trees.
It is almost like a tree. I really like working with that. And
cool.
you know, with Vitivinicola too, I like all of the little small plots of different varieties that they have planted for gin. So we also get Nebbiolo from Niceto. We have Petit Verdot, Mondoux. So there's a lot of fun varieties that we work with.
It's really cool to hear the inside story on Van Niceto because, you know, it's not a one-trick pony or two-trick pony. It's not just Chardonnay Pinot. There's other stuff planted there as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, even the Pinot's trellis quite high, right? Even the Pinot's trellis quite high. Remember last time I was there, there was 3 wires overhead, you know. The top wire was overhead.
Some blocks are a little different because like we had a block, I'm pointing over here because I'm like looking at it kind of
yeah.
But block 11, you know, it's on a steep hillside, so the vines aren't as plush, you can say, at certain times.
Yeah. They're a little less vigorous. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So because the vineyard does go up onto the foothills, you know, it does get up into some elevation there, which is very interesting. Okay, let's move on to the Pinot Noir. Here it is.
Yes. So our 2018 Pinot Noir, 2018 is just a really great vintage all around. We're super stoked with how these Pinots are coming out. Also very similar to the Santa Barbara County Chardonnay. It's a blend of many different vineyards that we source from, but all just like the Chardonnay. So Kikon, Los Alamos, Au Bon Climat, Niceto. And what we do, so we get many different lots during harvest, different times of the month, and what we can do is, you know, each one of those different lots ferment differently, but we keep track of it. And then after the end of fermentation, after we rack them and put them into barrel and let them sit for a while, and they also go through malolactic fermentation, then we'll do the blending and we'll blend them all together. So that one, it's not like we have a huge, you know, tank and we put all of these different lots together and it's all blended and fermented at the same time. So it's all done after the fact. And there's also neutral oak in the Santa Barbara County.
Neutral oak as well too. It's interesting. The wine is very sheer. It's not the anthocyanins are not really very deep in this. And we know Pinot can quite often doesn't have a lot of color, but it's very sheer. It's very, and it's a little deceiving. You look at it, and then when you taste it, there's beautiful intensity and mineral expression in the wine. So color is, you know, color is no indicator of the amount of flavor that's in this wine. That's for sure.
It
and
can be a little deceiving.
Spicy note.
Yes, I love that spicy, like cherry kind of note that we get on there.
Is that due to some whole cluster?
With the Santa Barbara County Pinot, there aren't any lots of whole cluster in there.
No whole cluster, so no stems.
Not in that one, no.
Any stems back in there?
Those lots we typically save for like the Knox Alexander Pinot, our Isabel Pinot Noir, even like the Niceto Historic Vineyard, that one has a little whole cluster. But the Santa Barbara County one is just kind of our, like we've got a large block right next to our production facility, block 12. And so a lot of that will go into that one.
So where does that delicious sapidity come from? That I'm using an Italian term to describe the deliciousness of this wine. Where is it coming from? The clones themselves?
You know, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the terroir. You know, I mean, we are really passionate about farming as naturally as we can, given all of the challenges that Mother Nature gives us.
Despite those challenges, yep.
Exactly. So I think, you know, just with where the vineyards are located, you know, there's a lot of sandy soil. So I think that that's kind of where we get some of that, those flavor profiles from.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So here we have a scenario where we have a fairly large production wine that really is demonstrating place. Very much so, because it's certainly not about oak. So, you know, all that beautiful complexity is really an expression of the varieties and their terroir, right?
Yes. I like that with, Au Bon Climat, one of his winemaking styles is let that fruit show. We have certain wines that we make where we're focusing only on the barrels, and those, are labeled under Ici là-bas or just Clendenin family, a different project. So with especially like the Santa Barbara County Pinot and Chard, you really get to see what the fruit is like. Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I absolutely love it. So last but not least, oh, it looks like I need to get this one open, is the beautiful and great wine, the Hildegard. Tell us about the blend of the blend of this wine. It's an ode to historic Burgundy.
Yeah, so Hildegard is Charlemagne's wife, and I'm not exactly sure, but back when Charlemagne was around, he had all of these red vines planted, and his wife was tired of dealing with all of the red wine stains in his beard. So she had all of those vines ripped up and planted Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, and Aligoté. And so that is the blend that makes up the Hildegard wine. Okay.
So my notes say, I had to find my key. It disappeared. My notes say 55 Pinot Gris, 35 Pinot Blanc, and 10 Aligoté.
Yeah, just a splash of Aligoté.
Just a splash. So,
yes.
We know Aligoté as not being particularly aromatic or, complex. So what does the Aligoté bring to the party here?
Well, I think that it depends upon the Aligoté that where you've had it, because Jim makes 100% Aligoté that has some great characteristics, just with that brightness that we get. It has some good acidity, and so I think that that's kind of why we use it, and just more for the historical kind of nature. There's only
the fact it's there and the nod to the history, but it can contribute some acid to the blend.
I mean, with the Aligoté that we grow at Au Bon Climat, there's only a little bit more than half an acre, and every year it always gives us really great, a great pH. We don't have to do anything with that wine except just give it a little bit of love and warmth in barrel.
a little bit of warmth. So there's definitely a bright core of acidity here in this wine, but it's clothed in all this lush and gorgeous fruit. And it's what is it, neutral oak here as well too?
No, there is actually 100% new oak on this wine.
Okay. So that is really, it's really, you need to ask those questions, because when you taste the wine, it's not evident, right?
It's so integrated.
Yes, beautifully integrated, and almost like it perfumes this wine. It absolutely does, because the Pinot Gris and the Pinot Blanc, they're very lush. There's not a lot of, the fruits are not really like, it's really not all about fruit. There's this beautiful lushness, but the fruit seems a little restrained to me, and it's very interesting. It's almost like a musical score between the fruit and the oak here. That's the analogy I could come up with.
Well, I mean, the Hildegard, that wine is a wine that I love. I mean, it's the 2017, so this is a very new release. It's wine that
new release.
Definitely is very young. It opens up beautifully, and we had a 2008 Hildegard the other day, and I was just, that structure. It's still such a wonderful wine.
Okay, so this wine, you're telling me that this wine is made with the intention to age?
Yes. Yes, which is hard to do, but.
So talk a little bit. I know what I'm tasting now in the 2017, and I know 2017 was had heat spikes and was a little bit of a challenging vintage, and that can be tough for some of these, particularly these Alsatian varieties that, really like it a little cooler, right? So tough, kind of a challenging vintage for the varieties, but
you had to really just keep in line with everything. You know, you had to go out in the vineyard and check, because there was a window when you could really miss it, like miss the perfect, you know, pH and bricks for the fruit that you're getting in, where you didn't have to do many additions.
So you wanted, the picking window is short and very precise. So you really have to get out there and bring that fruit in. So you tasted the 2008. Where does it go? What happens to the fruit? Does it become like dried fruits? Does it really go to that extreme of the spectrum, or does it go just more tropical, just open up? Or,
you know, I definitely think more like kind of dried fruits.
okay.
The tropical kind of notes definitely kind of dissipate. You know, I get kind of like candied butterscotch, you know, or just like a creamy kind of a character.
So it goes very creamy. It goes toward the creamy scale, the creamy side of the scale. That's really, really interesting. But there's no botrytis, so there's none of that type of influence. These vineyards are far too healthy or dry for that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have to be careful with it at Bien Nacido because of the marine layer that comes in and kind of settles. So
that's why I asked.
You know, but we're pretty lucky that when we pick, we don't have very many botrytis issues.
Yeah, not too much of it. But if you did, I'm sure that if you had some, I'm sure that it could almost be beneficial to this particular wine style. Are there any vintages?
That's very true.
Are there any vintages that you're aware of that had some botrytis intentionally included? Would you sort it out if you had it?
Well, we don't sort it out. We just dump it right in there. Unless it's on the top.
Good to know, because that noble rot, that could be good stuff. You know, we don't see it here in California, so.
And also, you know, what we do is in the vineyard, when they're picking, we pick by hand. So we make sure that we're out there, and if there's a cluster that has a lot of botrytis on it, we won't pick it. You know, you move on to the next cluster. So that's kind of how we go through when we do hand sorting.
Sort in the vineyard during the pick.
Yeah.
Wow. Very specific. Well, Marissa, I can't thank you enough for sharing these 3 wines with us today.
Thank you for, excuse the forklift.
That's okay, we love big machinery, right?
Yeah.
Just like the 3-year-olds. All right, have a good one. We'll see you in the 2021 guide. Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.